question 2 was a bit of a trick question. Or in other words, the question itself was trying to frame one. So question 2 says, how come Pn star is greater than Ps star when you know that marginal cost of n is smaller than the marginal cost of s? If marginal cost is small, then I would expect the price to be smaller or lower. So this question is really trying to frame it and trying to say, why is that the case? What the question is forgetting to tell you, and that's kind of your job to kind of realize, is that if you think of a demand function, price and quantity, and you think of this as marginal cost, in the north case, you will notice that the demand of the north side is 8,000. Starts with 8,000. The demand for the south side is 7,000, which means that the north side has a higher choke price or a higher intercept. Okay, kind of looks like this. So think of this as choke price. Yeah. So this intercept here, and I show this in a couple of other videos that I also did for this week. I call that bit there the choke or the choke price. Okay. Why is it choke price? Envision like choking your consumers, right? Where the consumers don't buy anything. If you set that price or any price higher, the demand will be 0. Hence the term choke price. You're choking the consumers. Okay. Now, think of this as the residual demand for the south, right? This is residual demand for the south. Think of this as the residual demand for the north. Okay. North should have, for any given price, okay, ceteris paribus, right? Holding the prices constant there. So let me ask you a question. If you look at the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand at point A, and you're trying to compare this with the price elasticity of demand at point A prime, which of these two absolute values would be larger? Which one would be larger? And how could you figure that out?
Would they be the same?
They wouldn't be the same. If you think about it, Michael, let's think about it this way. If you are very close to this intercept, what's going to be the elasticity of this demand here? Very close to the intercept. What would it be? Or anyone else? What would the elasticity be very close to the intercept? It would be close to infinity. This one here is not going to be infinity. Because the A is closer to the intercept than it is the A prime, and because the B is closer to its intercept in a sort of proportionate sense, as opposed to B prime, you will always be that in absolute term, this will be higher. This will be higher. So for any given price, right, the south, for any given price, the south has a more elastic demand. Okay? The south side has a more elastic demand, which means the north side is privileged. In what sense? At any point in time, for any given price, the elasticity is lower. The consumers are less elastic, okay, or less sensitive to price changes. So if you take the inverse...
For the south side or for the north side? Because the north side, demand is less elastic, right?
For the north side, demand is less elastic, correct. Yeah, this is north, right? This bit is north. Elasticity at north is smaller, okay, so which means less elastic, okay? Or the consumer of the north for any given price are more inelastic, okay, or less elastic, whichever way you want to
so
look at it.
North demand wouldn't vary as much if the price increased.
That's right. Yeah. Or really what we just confirmed here, right? This difference in price. We know this is north, right? Think of this as north. Think of this as south, right? The elasticity in the north is smaller, okay? So south is more price elastic. So if you're trying to find the optimal price of the monopoly, you know that the optimal price of the monopoly will always be at the midpoint between the choke price and the marginal cost. So the north side will set a higher price, okay? Because the choke price is now higher. So question 2 was really just trying to frame you. Question 2 said, look, the marginal costs are different. So I could have said here marginal cost for north. I could have said here marginal cost for south. And the question is trying to frame you by diverting all your focus into marginal costs. When you should have also said, well, actually, for the price, the choke price will also be important. And because the choke price from the north is much higher, then still overall I get to a higher price. And that's really that elasticity link and the inverse elasticity pricing rule link, which would be something that looks like this. Okay, that's how it kind of will look like. And because the north side always has a lower elasticity, right? If the elasticity is lower for any given price, this thing here is lower for any given price. But what must be true about the price to hold the balance? It must be higher to get to that balancing exercise, right? If you want those two things to balance. And that's exactly what we have in this elasticity link of question 2.